Hello, viewers. Today is July 25, 2024. I'm here to continue to discuss about the US presidential elections 2024. Today, I would like to discuss about the Oval Office address that the President Biden gave yesterday. And then I want to talk about his presidency in general. And then finally, I will touch the subject of whether he did the right thing at the right time or it was a little bit late. So let's first go straight into the Oval Office address that the president gave yesterday. So from the Oval Office speech perspective, I felt it was a very good speech. It was very well written, and the tone and tenor of the speech was very good. And also, he was able to explain that Kamala Harris is a strong, capable leader. So that way, he gave a sort of an endorsement on that speech. But what I was really curious about on that whole speech was what is he going to do between now and the November election and possibly even till January, because he has become a lame duck president right now. So he had listed several things, including ending the war in Middle East and whatnot. But there was one particular thing that caught my attention, and I'm very curious about that, which is he said that he was going to propose something on Supreme Court reform. So I'm very curious to know exactly what he's planning to do on the Supreme Court reform. From my perspective, I think it is long overdue. We definitely need to reform the Supreme Court. The main reason is the people do not have any faith in the Supreme Court. That is according to the polls, not from me. Most of the polls say they don't have enough confidence in the Supreme Court rulings. So, and the other thing is, I do not believe that in this day and age that you can just give an appointment to a person and call it as a lifelong appointment. I think that doesn't work in this day and age. We are not living in the 20s and 30s. I think it's a highly dynamic modern world, and we need to have some kind of a tenure time, say 20 years or 25 years for the Supreme Court justices. So I think I would like to wait and see what he's going to propose on the Supreme Court reform. So I was very curious about that. So the next topic that I would like to discuss is on his presidency. So let's go and look at what he has accomplished. So he won the election in November 2020 and took the vote January 2021. So in March 2021, he passed the pandemic bill. Remember that we were still reeling under the effect of COVID at that time when he won the election. And he passed a $1.9 trillion worth of pandemic bill. So that really helped a lot of people, and that really kept the economy moving. But more importantly, according to some studies, it created close to 15.7 million jobs. So that was a very consequential bill, and that was very important for his presidency. So then you come all the way to November 2021, he passed another consequential bill. In fact, I would say that this was far more consequential than even the pandemic bill. That was the infrastructure bill. So this was like $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. And this was very important because in 2016, when Donald Trump was running for office, he said that the nation's infrastructure was crumbling, and I'm going to pass an infrastructure bill the moment I get into the Oval Office. But he couldn't do it. He couldn't work with both Republicans and Democrats uh, and do some kind of a compromise that is required to pass any bill these days. But Joe Biden was able to work with the Democrats and Republicans and pass this bill, and this also created a lot of jobs. So I think this is also another consequential bill. Then you go to August 2022. This is when he passed the Inflation Reduction Act. So this Inflation Reduction Act is also very important in the sense that it had a revenue component and also it had an investment component. But the net effect of that bill was actually at least some form of deficit is going to be reduced. So he had a $300 billion deficit reduction based on this Inflation Reduction Act. So the way he did that was there was some component which were basically revenue, somewhere close to around $739 billion or something like that. And then the investment was somewhere close to around 433 billion or something like that. So the net effect was around $300 billion that went towards deficit reduction. So from a revenue perspective on that bill, he was able to get the revenue because of the 15% minimum corporate income tax, and some prescription drug reform. And also he closed the carried interest loophole, which is very important. So he had all this to generate the revenue over a period of 10 years. And then he had an investment of close to around 340 or $350 billion for energy security and climate change. So that was also very important for the future. And then he had around 60 odd $billion to basically expand the Affordable Care Act till 2025. That was the enhanced version of the Affordable Care Act that he extended till 2025. So the net effect was it was a good bill that is also fiscally conservative in the sense that you are able to bring down the deficit by a little bit, not too much, but at least a little bit. So then you had this, from a political side, we had the midterm election. In the midterm election, everybody said that Democrats are going to lose lots of seats, and they're going to lose the Senate and the House. And this happened in November 2022. So, but Democrats defied all those predictions and polls, and they were able to hold on to the Senate, and they lost the House only by around 10, 12, 13 seats. In fact, the prediction was before the polls was they would lose by around 30, 40 seats. And that was a big victory for him politically, because they were able to, in fact, they could have won the House had they picked up some of the closely fought seats in New York as well as in California. And they would have actually kept the House if they had won those close seats in California and New York. So from a political perspective, also he had a victory. So I talked about three consequential bills, and then you have a political victory. So this was the first half of his presidency from January 2021 to November, December 2022. He had a very consequential presidency. He did a lot more things. That's after that is when I have a lot of questions, because we did not have much of an action after January 2022. Granted by January 2023. Granted by mid 2023, you had all the talk about the primary, whether he's going to run for re-election or not. I understand that, but still, we did not see him as often as we used to see. And basically, the aides were very protective of him. He did not have a casual talk with any of the reporters and whatnot. So then by mid-year 2023, there was a talk that he might not run, but eventually he said he was going to run. And he ran in the primary. He didn't have even a token kind of a resistance or an opposition. So he won the primary. And then the debate happened. Right? That's when the whole country, everybody saw that he's not the same person, and he has become old, and it's showing now. So that is why I feel like his first half is pretty good. And then in the second half, people did not know his exact condition. And we all came to know about the whole condition only during the debate. So I'll come to the next question then. Did he withdraw at the right time? Because of these reasons, the second half, whatever I discussed on the second half, I think he did not withdraw at the right time. He had two options, actually. In the mid-2023, he could have very easily said that he's not going to run for re-election. And mind you, Kamala Harris would have been still the favorite. She would have still won the primary, but she would have had a lot of chances to debate within the Democratic colleagues. She would have had a lot more confidence and a lot more experience to stand on her own, and she could have been a much better candidate for the general election had that happened. But that did not happen. Then he had another chance just after the debate. If only he had seen the debate 2 or 3 days after the debate, or just a day after the debate, he himself would have come to the conclusion that he has come to now. So that also did not happen. People might say it's only 3 weeks, but I would say that those were very crucial 3 weeks. Kamala Harris lost those crucial 3 weeks. Those 3 weeks could have been useful for her to build up the campaign and get the momentum going for 3 more weeks. And also, I will just give you a small example. Yesterday, she had a campaign rally, her first campaign rally in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It was excellent. She did a very good job. But today, I saw her in Houston, where she was addressing the American Teachers Union, I believe. And she got a lot better in just one day. So think about what it could have happened if she had 3 more weeks of all these rallies, and she could have tailored her message, she could have tested her message, and so she lost all those crucial days. So I would say that Biden had two opportunities to actually say: one, to say that he's not running in the primary. That would have been the ideal case. Or at least a day or two after the primary or after the debate, he could have very easily said, I am withdrawing from the race, just like what he has done. So I'm kind of very disappointed. Some of this national media are missing this whole history. You have to look at his presidency from day one till the debate, right? So he had withdrawn, obviously, but these people are saying that he was not selfish and he did it for his country and all that. He's a nice man, I agree, but he did not leave on his own. I think, as Nancy Pelosi rightly put it, he just told her apparently that either you do it the easy way or the hard way. The hard way would have been going all the way to the convention and then losing it there. So I think at the end, he didn't have a choice. So that's why he withdrew from the race. So I wouldn't go to the extent of saying that you can compare him with George Washington and whatnot. He's a very decent man. He have served the Senate honorably. He have served as Barack Obama's vice president honorably, and he has been a good president. And he did a very good job in the first 2 years of his presidency. And I will leave it at that and say that he is a fine man. And let's not just go overboard. So that's my take. I mean, I'm just presenting the facts here. You guys decide what you want to, but I'm just presenting the facts and the history of what happened between 2021 up until the debate. So that's it for me today. I'll come back to you with another program tomorrow. Take care.